So can anyone tell me, in what year did the Normans invade Britain? Anyone? Can anyone remember? Okay. Esmeralda, are you there? Esmeralda, in what year did the Normans invade Britain? No, unmute. Okay. Brian will know. I think Brian will know. In what year did the Normans invade Britain? Every teacher can probably relate to this tense standoff where you throw out a question and nobody responds. You should avoid it at all costs. In this situation, you're left in a double bind where both the consequences are bad for you. You either back down and communicate to the students that you don't take your own rules seriously, you're happy to fill your own silences and to be a bit of a pushover. Okay, anyone know? Anyone know the answer? Okay, very good. So the Normans invaded Britain in 1066, or you persist with trying to get them to participate. Time out. This is not good enough, and I am going to wait here all afternoon if I have to until somebody tells me when the Normans invaded Britain. So who's going to answer my question? When did the Normans invade Britain? Answer me, please. Answer me. I can wait here all day. When did the goddamn Normans invade goddamn Britain? And you end up wasting a huge amount of time, getting angrier and angrier as they continue to ghost you, which totally kills the flow of your lessons and makes it even more unlikely that your kids are going to be engaged and participating. Meanwhile, you have no idea who's in the room with the child. So do you really want to be having a bit of a tantrum on camera when you don't know if mum is secretly filming your lesson? So the solution is simply don't put yourself in a situation where this kind of standoff could happen. In fact, I'm not really a fan of throwing out questions and expecting an oral response at all in online lessons. Even if you have classes where you ask a question and the kids enthusiastically respond, it's usually the same 5 kids who are actually answering the questions. And if you do try and find more inclusive ways, maybe you use a name randomizer or you just nominate individual students, I can guarantee you'll find yourself in one of these standoffs when a kid that you nominate doesn't respond. So now I've stopped wasting the lesson time with these question and answer standoffs. I'm now going to talk you through what I do instead to make sure that the lesson time is used much more productively. Here's the first thing. I increase opportunities for typing participation. I find students much prefer this method as it takes the pressure off them when they don't have to speak in front of the class. The first way students can respond by typing is using the meeting chat. Do use the meeting chat heavily. I know some teachers who really hate the meeting chat and they complain to IT that the chat's exploding in their lessons and they want it disabled. No. Doesn't this show that kids like interacting in this way? So use it to your advantage. When I pose a question, I always tell the whole class that everybody should type an answer to my question in the meeting chat. If kids don't feel comfortable sharing their answer in front of the whole class, and I think that might explain why they're quite silent in the lessons, the great thing about the chat is that there's a private message function. So they can send the message to me privately and discreetly. However, I actually prefer them to send public messages, because then we have this lovely thread of all the students' different ideas, and it allows students to bounce ideas off each other and also teach each other things. And I think this is where Zoom actually has an advantage over face-to-face teaching. In face-to-face, I can't see every single student's exercise book at the same time. I can't ask a question and then wait for 30 students to answer. But using the Zoom chat, I can assess all my learners' understanding of my lesson content very quickly. So please use this to your advantage. Sometimes when I want students to really feed off each other's ideas, I use some other websites as they're a bit easier to read than trawling back through the Zoom chat. I like Padlet as you can collate all your students' answers in a reader-friendly way. Nearpod also has a similar function called the Collaborate Board, which is also a good choice. For younger ages and where the students aren't so good at typing, I also like Nearpod's Draw It function, where each student can draw a response to a question. Another way that students can get involved is using the Annotate function in Zoom. Again, I find the kids love using this. You've probably been lesson bombed at some point when you were teaching a lesson and a kid started using it to doodle on your screen. Please don't disable this, as kids clearly love using it. My next do is use competitive educational games. Probably the way to guarantee high levels of engagement is to incorporate a good old quiz. Quizizz is my go-to website. I love Nearpod too, as it has a great variety of different activities, all fun and interactive. The variety is so good that you can use this app for pretty much a whole lesson. My next do is use breakout rooms. Breakout rooms have a bit of a notorious reputation. However, when done correctly and with a few tweaks, breakout rooms can be a really valuable tool which promotes that student-to-student collaboration and communication, which is really important for their whole person development. Executing a breakout room activity correctly is a topic for a whole new video. So I'm actually going to make a video on that topic, and I'll put a link to it when it's ready. My next do is give the kids a break from the screen. So I think you get the gist by now that the way to keep kids engaged is to constantly have them typing something. That's all well and good, but we need to consider the strain this is having on their eyes, and that they might get a bit bored of this if it gets too repetitive. So why not mix things up with a nice old school craft project? I think it's perfectly fine to set up an activity, tell the kids you have 30 minutes, and then you will share it with the rest of the class. This will mix it up with a nice hands-on activity. My final do is incorporate movement into the lessons. As well as having a big strain on their eyes, these lessons are likely having a big strain on their butts as they're glued to their chairs all day. So for their health and enjoyment, do get them up and moving around. So certain activities I like to do which encourage movement, for example, when I present a vocabulary word, I could get the students to mime that word. We could even turn it into a guessing game. So perhaps I send a private message to some students and then they mime the words on the camera and everyone else guesses. And sometimes I just like to do a good old-fashioned PE workout as a warm-up for my lessons. And I find as well, when you get students to do funny things on their camera, they suddenly do become enthusiastic about turning their camera on. Thank you very much for making it to the end of this video. My name's Owen, and I'm a teacher who loves lifelong learning. I love to experiment and do a bit of trial and error with new techniques for the classroom. I also like to do a bit of reading up on the subject and seeing what's in the research. And I like to share my ideas with other teachers, hence this new YouTube project that I'm doing. So I hope to grow this channel and bring out a lot more content in the future. But as I'm a new channel, I do really rely on your support. So please like and subscribe. It will really help out my my algorithms and things like that in these early days of the channel. If you enjoyed your content, please tell your teacher friends. If you didn't enjoy the content, tell the colleagues in the staff room that you hate about it. Any views are very welcome. So thank you very much and stay tuned for some more content.